A different language is a different vision of life. So said legendary Italian film director Federico Fellini. Let's examine the Russian and Ukrainian worldviews through their languages. In Ukrainian, the word for victory is
перемога.
When you break down the word, it means something literally like overmight or overcoming your ability. In Russian, the word for victory is
Победа.
which means literally after the misery. So when Ukrainians toast to victory, they are speaking like Olympians. Let's do the impossible. And when Russians toast victory, they are saying to the time after the miserable shit. In Ukrainian,
Лікарня.
a hospital is where people are healed. In the Russian language,
Больниця.
a hospital is a place of pain. In Ukrainian, the word for crime
Злочин.
means evil doing. Question authorities, but listen to your heart. In Russian,
Преступление.
the word for crime means stepping over a line. In other words, the only evil thing is to question the Kremlin. A different language is a different vision of life. Time and time again, we see that a well-armed freedom can stop a bluffing tyrant. In September 2022, Russia promised a nuclear holocaust if they suffer any setbacks on the battlefield. That same month, a Ukrainian counteroffensive liberated Kharkiv region and parts of Kherson from the Russians. You might have missed this, but there was no nuclear holocaust. In November 2022, Russia threatened severe retaliation if NATO countries gave Ukraine Patriot missile defense systems. Today, Ukraine's capital Kyiv is generally well protected thanks to the Patriots. In June 2023, Russia said, well, at least you'd better not use HIMARS to attack anything on Russian soil. In June 2024, after weeks of Russians nearly devastating Kharkiv, the White House at last gave Ukraine permission to use HIMARS to hit Russian missile launch points just over the Russian border. Kharkiv became safer and Russia, weakened, began calling for negotiations.
Whoever tries to prevent us should know that Russia's response will be immediate and will lead you to consequences that you have never faced in your history.
So, isn't it time to send Ukraine what it needs to get the job done? The false J.D. Vance couch story is like something from the Kremlin playbook. Just make something up, and even in the denial of it.
Let me be clear, that is not true. If you asked me to draw a man that fucks his couch 10 times out of 10, I'm drawing this guy.
The false idea still sticks. Putin routinely does this with Ukraine. The week that Ukraine shot down 3 of Russia's most powerful planes, the Kremlin made up a story that on one of those planes were 65 Ukrainian POWs. Afterward, not a shred of evidence or a further peep about it. But yet that false story successfully covered up the reality of Ukraine's underdog success, destroying 3 powerful Russian planes during an essential time to show the US Congress that Ukraine can succeed. Or consider the Paris Bugatti story totally made up, but it was just enough for the Russians to connect the name of the First Lady and Bugatti in the public consciousness. And suddenly those who support Ukraine are wasting time fact-checking an absurdity. Such falsities hide the realities. Ukraine has all but destroyed Russia's Black Sea fleet. Russia is struggling to take small villages instead of large cities, and Ukraine is a bastion of faith, family, freedom. By the way, have you heard about Putin and little boys? Joe Rogan believes in ice baths as a way to shock the system awake each morning. But, Joe, have you ever tried a missile bath? Rogan has one of the most interesting shows in the world.
When you don't have freedom.
With brilliant thinkers talking about freedom. We know that. And yet the Joe Rogan Experience mischaracterizes one place in the world where everyday free people do extraordinary things in the most difficult situations.
The U.S. is engaging in a proxy war with Russia.
In fact, so often, Rogan has guests talking about Ukraine who have never been to Ukraine. Why not instead hear from people like Serhiy Stakhovsky, a tennis-playing wine-making soldier who defeated Roger Federer at Wimbledon and now fights the Russian invaders? Giles Dooley, a British photographer who lost one arm and both legs in Afghanistan, is frequently in Ukraine helping kids and adults who've lost limbs.
Documenting a lot of the hospitals.
Andriy Zelensky, a Jesuit priest, philosopher, soldier, who can go deep into the philosophic differences between Ukrainians and Russians.
The most precious gift we've got from our Lord, and that is our humanity.
Rogan fans love the American idea that I was blind, but now I see. Open your eyes, invite some guests from Ukraine.
Blind, but now I see.
Don't you hate it when schools brainwash our kids? Well, Russian Islamist warlords are forcing Ukrainian Christian kids to shout Allahu Akbar, while big fancy American Christian charities claim to save kids.
Claim they never actually saw him rescue children from human trafficking.
They look the other way when it comes to Russia. Meanwhile, in league with Hamas, Iran, and Beijing, Russia is making kids from devoutly Christian Ukraine into Islamist Kremlin mercenaries. Ukrainians are fighting back, are you?
You're under arrest.
In the 20th century, the Stalin communist regime deported millions of people away from their homes deep into Russia. Putin carries on this legacy today. Claiming to be defending tradition, he fools American Christians, even as he destroys once peaceful cities, bombs churches, and forces children into indoctrination camps. What side are you on?
Which side are you on? Well, then which side are you on?
Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. No line was cut, no whale was freed. The captain's mind was not of greed, and he belonged to the whaleman's creed. She took the ship in tow. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. For 40 days or even more, the line went slack, the tide once more. All boats were lost, there were only 4, but still that whale did go.
We invite you to follow our channel, the only American show reporting live from Ukraine every day.